This is Chris Kell with the first presentation in the frequently asked questions that I get about core training. And this presentation addresses the most important thing I think that people overlook, and that's just establishing optimal alignment of the body. We can do as many crunches as we want, we can work our abs and diet till the cows come home, but if our body is not in proper alignment, we're working the wrong muscles. Okay, so this really is the first step in the X factor in getting a well-defined six-pack And so the way that I came to these things that I'm going to talk about in our presentation is that I've trained hundreds of women over the years, and the number one request that I get is a well-defined or a flat stomach, and then a well-defined lower abs in particular. Women always tell me they want to get rid of this abdominal pooch, and they think because we've had kids or whatever it may be, this is not possible, and that's simply not true. There's a lot of different there are a lot of different things that we can do, but the first step and the thing that most people overlook is just getting your body back in proper alignment in order to get there. The other reason that I'm talking about this thing is that I am obsessed with core training. It's been a big part of my own life. I've done some fitness modeling and different things over the years myself. So it's a topic that's always resonated with me, and it's something that I've spent many hours researching. So these things that I'll talk about are things that have been proven on hundreds of people. If we look at these two abs, okay, these two sets of abdominals, this is what I see most often when people say they want to tone their core. All right, we have a very well-defined set of upper abs, and you might, a lot of people can achieve this. This is pretty easy, that we do our crunches, we do our sit-ups, our different things, and we get this well-defined, I'll say, four-pack. But when we look lower, we see that the lower abs, this kind of lower area is really a little bit less defined, and the question is why. And one answer to that, I think, is the way that we choose to. So if we look at the orientation of how our body is made up, we have good posture here on the left. All right, everything is straight up and down. There's a slight curvature inward or lordosis of the lower back, and then there's a slight rounding of the upper back. But for most people that I see that come to us, we are in this what we call anterior pelvic tilt, where the pelvis is the lower back is arched, the pelvis is tilted forward, and immediately that's going to give us the appearance of just this huge belly, regardless of body fat or what you might be doing from an exercise perspective. So if we're in this anterior pelvic tilt position and we're doing things like crunches or whatever it may be, we're not toning the right muscles anyway, because our body is just not our pelvis is not in the right alignment to do so. So the question is, how do we get ourselves back from this anterior pelvic tilt to good? So this leads us into a discussion about what type of exercises are most effective to do a job. And I think the reason why crunches have maybe gotten a bad rap recently is that they're not necessarily the best exercise for somebody that's been sitting at a desk all day and somebody that's leaning forward anyway. And if we look at this guy at the bottom, this is Hans Mollman. Okay, this is a guy that's supposedly 35 years old in The Simpsons, but yet he looks like a hunched over old man. All right, and this is what happens to us as we spend years sitting in desks and sort of walking in just this sort of forward-leaning position. I mean, if we look at Hans here, Hans is in a crunched position anyway. So if Hans is doing crunches to kind of reinforce this rounding of his upper back, the muscles of his abs are already short anyway. They're already tightened up, and they're not necessarily going to strengthen through a full range of motion. So that might not be the best exercise for him, because crunches involve bringing the chest to the knees, where he's already kind of in this position anyway. But if we have Hans line his back and bring his knees to his chest, what happens is it brings us from this anterior tilted position where the pelvis is arched forward back to neutral. So that's why I like a leg lift much more than a crunch. And this is for people, this is just in general, simply because we spend a lot more time in this forward oriented position. So if you're looking to tone your lower abs and you're looking to work this area in particular, not only are pulling your knees to your chest engaging those particular muscles, but it's also getting your pelvis back into a better position to do the job. So what I recommend is a 2-to-1 knee to leg lift to crunch ratio. So for every one crunch exercise you do, you should do 2 leg lift exercises to help to balance. So that also leads us, let's see. The other factor that we need to consider in this equation is what I call the daily deload, right? If the reality is that we mold into the positions that we hold on a daily basis. So if you're sitting over a computer in a crunched posture for many hours a day over several years, you're going to look, your body is naturally going to develop into the C curve that we kind of see with this lady on the left here. Okay, but if we work to hold ourselves in better positions throughout the day and kind of deload our body, we can start to address these things. So what I like to recommend is just standing up and assuming what we call a Brugger posture. So the tissues of the body, our muscles start to kind of tighten up and restrict us after about 20 minutes. So a recommendation that I would make is every 20 minutes when we're sitting in one position, simply stand up and just open your hands up and extend your body. All right, this is getting us out of this flex position. It's getting us back in a proper alignment. So when we do go to the gym, we're doing the right things in order to be successful. Another good recommendation that works for a lot of people is rolling up a towel and putting it behind the small of the lower back. Oftentimes that'll take us from this sort of flexed position with the lady on the far left to a more upright position where she's maintaining a normal spinal curve. And that's something that you can roll up and just put behind, your chair, whatever it may be, during the day. So in summary, if we're looking for just a few simple suggestions that we can utilize to start to address our core training, number one is that stand up and extend every 20 minutes. If you're somebody that sits frequently for more than, say, 20 minutes at a certain time, just stand up for about 1 minute, open your shoulders up, turn your palms facing away from you, and just open your body up and extend. That's going to kind of give your tissues a little bit of deloading, and it's not going to allow them to pull us physically out of place. So when we exercise, we're in a better physical position. Number two is that if you stand up, if you assume standing postures where maybe you're a teacher and you're teaching a class, or you're a librarian and you're standing all day, or you're on your feet, simply change positions frequently. Again, this changing of position is going to allow us to deload and not allow our bodies to freeze into a certain position. From a training perspective, I also recommend a 2-to-1 leg lift to crunch ratio. So with a lot of people, and you can kind of see this if you look in a mirror, if you got this big arch in your lower back, these leg lifting exercises are going to help to get you back into a more efficient position to tone the right muscles. So with that as well, we're working the right muscles to kind of tone your lower abs and get a flat stomach. So that's going to help to get you in a proper alignment to immediately flatten your stomach. And number four, if you do a lot of driving or you are sitting frequently, I recommend using a lumbar roll behind the small of your low back just to kind of maintain this physical position and to avoid some back pain that might accumulate from sitting flexed all day.